Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Lead with Love podcast with Dr. Q, where we talk about love, leadership, and real life lessons that actually matter. And today in episode 8, we're going to talk about why you can't do it alone. If you're here right now, remember, it is not by accident. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. So, y'all ready? You already know. Let's jump in. Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all about my first year as a principal. Listen, I walked into that building and I was like, I promise you all love, laughter, and leadership. I was so excited. And love just kind of came naturally to me. I genuinely cared about my staff and my scholars. Now, laughter, we celebrated, we had fun, we brought joy. But leadership, now, to be honest, I struggled. Because here's what I was doing. I was doing everything, all the leading, and expecting everyone else to just kind of follow my example. And I planned every event. I wanted to have my hands on everything. I wanted to solve every problem. And I made almost every decision. And I was exhausted and overwhelmed. And honestly, we didn't hit our goals that way. Then I kind of inherited a campus that was part of this very cool program called The Leader in Me campus by Franklin Covey. Ugh, I love that. I love that program. And it's based on Stephen Covey's work and The Leader in Me. This program, like, it required something that terrified me because the crux of it is I had to let go of control and I had to trust my teachers and my staff, even my pre-K scholars, to lead. And I struggled with trusting people. I had an amazing coach. Her name was Alicia. I miss you, Alicia, who was so patient with me. And she kept reminding me that the school doesn't belong to you, Quinice. It belongs to everyone. And they have a shared responsibility to ensure the success of the campus, not just you. And it wasn't until probably about year 3. I'm exhausted. We're not achieving our academic goals. And I finally was like, okay, Alicia, I give up. I surrender. And it was that moment. It was that moment that changed everything for me. My whole mindset shift changed. John Maxwell, he says that teamwork makes the dream work, but a vision becomes a nightmare when the leader has a big dream and a bad team. But here's what I learned. I didn't actually have a bad team at all. I had an amazing team. I had a team that I wouldn't let lead. So today, I'm going to introduce the S in just care, surrender success or surrender for success. And I'm going to show you why trying to do it by yourself is destroying your leadership and negatively impacting your organization. Yep. And by the end of today's episode, you're going to understand why. The best leaders, they don't keep the power, they give it away. They don't hoard it. And that the accountability trap is and how is killing and why surrender isn't weakness, it's wisdom. This comes straight from chapter 3 in the Lead with Love, 8 heart-centered strategies for exceptional leadership. You got to get your book because next week even we're going to dive into the research and kind of talk through some of the stories in this book. But today I just need you all to understand why you can't do it by yourself. And you were never, ever meant to do it by yourself. So there's this thing called kind of the accountability trap. And as a principal, I knew that the buck stopped with me. At the end of the day, no matter what, my name was on the building. It was on the website. It was on the board reports. And I was fully 100% accountable for everything that happened in that school. Good or bad, the district leadership, they were coming to me. Like, they weren't looking for my APs or the teachers. And while others were accountable at the campus level, at the district level, it was just me. It was me. And that type of pressure, like, for leaders, it makes you want to do everything. And worse, it makes leaders actually do everything. It's a trap. It's a trap. While the response is natural, it's not healthy. It's not productive for the leader or the people that they lead. And so here's some truth. Like, you are not the only smart person in your organization. Strong leaders know and see the strength around them. And we sometimes believe the adage, like, if you want something done right, then we got to do it ourselves. But let me offer you something different. Let's just hire and develop good people and put good people around you. Hiring and building capacity in people is a skill that every leader must have to build a sustainable and successful organization. It's not about you. It's about putting good people around you. And this requires you to do two things. The first thing you have to do is acknowledgement that you won't be the only reason your team will win. Put your pride and your ego aside and hire people with strengths in areas where you lack it. You have to have some strong security. According to research from the Corporate Executive Board, leaders who effectively delegate generate 33% higher revenue and have organizations that grow 1 to 3 times faster than those who struggle to let go. Let go. But here's what stops us. It's our ego. It was my ego, fear, the belief that if I'm not doing it, it ain't gonna get done right. And that's the thing. Leaders are like that. But John Maxwell says, the greatest mistake we make is living in constant fear that we will make one at all. And that fear keeps us holding tight to control, and it's suffocating us and our organization. Suffocating. The most effective leaders, they don't hoard their power. They give it away. They give it away. They empower their people. Yielding to those who have empowered will not only foster buy-in, but guess what? Trust from those that you lead. Because you're trusting them, they're going to increase their trust for you. Now, surrender, it requires a great deal of trust, and leadership can be isolating, and the reality is that not everyone in the organization will believe you deserve the role, support your position, or even see you as effective. That is facts. Believe it or not, though, these beliefs can drive people to intentionally sabotage your efforts. And unfortunately, we don't always know who they are until we know who they are. But you can't let that stop you. Putting trust in those that you lead, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of faith. It isn't easy, but it is critical as you surrender success and empower your people to lead the work and others. Sometimes, like, it's necessary to really analyze your team and identify the people who are not supportive of the mission and whose behavior is in complete opposition to where the organization is going. They cannot stay. They have to get off your bus. And that is a hard decision to make, but it must be made to protect both you as a leader and the organization. You got to have good people around you. Welcome to leadership. And that's where I struggled as a first year principal, getting people off the bus. Because the truth is, surrendering success can relieve stress. Leaders can't do it by yourself. You often sometimes create so much stress on your lives as leaders because we take everything on. Everything is on our shoulders. We tackle all the challenges that it comes with, and we put them on our shoulders to bear them alone. But that's not how leadership works. It isn't possible. It's not healthy. And actually, it's not smart. We're tired and we're stressed, and we end up creating environments that are stressed. And as I mentioned before in the joy episode, like, we set the tone, and our organizations are going to mirror who and what we are. Stress, worry, anxiety, exhaustion. Those aren't environments that we want to create, but we will unintentionally. A study from the American Psychological Association, APA, found that 75% of employees say their boss is the most stressful part of their entire job. And leaders who try to control everything report 50% higher burnout rates than those who delegate effectively. To be clear, surrender doesn't mean to avoid hands on involvement. The best leaders are willing to roll up their sleeves and work alongside their teams. And they'll do everything they expect from those they lead. Now, as I begin building kind of capacity in my staff as leaders, I enjoyed kind of just taking I enjoyed taking over their roles, like teaching their class or covering the front office. That was really hard to do. Or supporting with students so that they could actually attend the committee meetings where they were the assigned leader, right? And so it's this duality. The person in the highest position doesn't have the highest power, and to being able to share that responsibility was amazing. But I couldn't do everything, and neither could you. You can't do everything. You cannot do it all. So probably around year 3. Yes, it takes time, y'all. Let me take you back to that moment when I told Alicia, okay, I surrender. I can't do it. I'm exhausted. I I was tired, and so we weren't meeting the goals. And despite all of my efforts, I was doing all the work, making all the decisions, and carrying all the weight. That's not sustainable. Yeah, and it was a crash and burn situation. But Alicia asked me a very simple question. She says, Quinice, how's that working for you? And I was like, it's not working. It's not working. So I finally just kind of let go, and we started to build systems, and we formed committees, and we gave some real ownership to the staff. And I stopped being the only leader and started building leaders. That lets you know what kind of leader you are when you build them. And you know what happened? We didn't just survive, baby. We started thriving. The culture improved. Test scores, we grew. Teacher morale improved. Innovation increased. And I could finally breathe. The school, it didn't fall apart when I let go. It actually got stronger. And that is when I discovered the truth. John Maxwell says that a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. But a great leader also makes sure that others know the way, can go the way, and will show the way to others. Yes, John. Yes. True leadership means letting go so that others can rise. And that is surrendering success. So in quarter 2, weeks 18 through 21, we are going to deeply dive into surrendering success. And we're going to cover a few things. Please make sure you get your book. We're going to talk about how to form committees that actually work, collaborative hiring that transforms teams, adding kind of layers of leadership without losing the control. And then we're going to talk about leadership development opportunities that can multiply your impact. But for now, I just need you all to sit with this truth. You can't do it alone. And the moment you try becomes the moment that you start to fail. Now, that's some truth for you. You have to let go. You have to empower. So this week, I want you to identify one responsibility that you've been holding on to that somebody else can lead, and probably lead better. Not delegate with kind of strings attached, like genuinely give it to them. Examples. I mean, of course, set a vision. A leader needs to set a vision. But for example, a committee that you chair that but could empower someone else to run it. A decision that you make alone that could be actually a collaborative decision. Or maybe even a project that you micromanage that your team can own. You already know which one it is. I want you to write it down. Choose somebody. Have the conversation this week. Listen, I want you to say, I trust you to lead this. Here's why I believe in you and that you can do it well. Then, and this is the hard part, step back and let them do it. Okay? Next week, episode 9, we're going to dive into the research and some real stories around surrendering success. And you're going to hear from leaders who surrendered success and those who refuse to let go. And the contrast is going to shock you. You're going to be like, what? Yep. Before I let you go, remember, get the book. Sorry. Get the book. Lead with Love, 8 Heart-Centered Strategies for Exceptional Leadership. It is available on Amazon, the Audible coming soon. Chapter 3 is about surrendering success, and it will give you the full framework, the systems, and the courage to let it go, let it go, let it go. John Maxwell says, if you want to do a few small things right, do them by yourself. Oh, but if you want to do great things and make a big impact, learn to delegate. Yeah. You have a choice. You can do everything by yourself and stay small, or you can empower your team and multiply the impact. The school doesn't belong to you. The company doesn't belong to you. The organization doesn't belong to you. Your home even doesn't really belong to just you. It belongs to everybody. And when everyone leads, that's when greatness actually happens. So thank y'all for being here. And as always, like, I am so glad that you support this. I'm so glad that you join me here and that you're on this Lead with Love journey with me. If today's message spoke to you, do me a favor, share it with a leader who's trying to do everything alone. Help them get some support. Don't forget also to subscribe so that you don't miss episode 9 next week. The power of let it go, let it go. The power of letting go next week. And remember, leading with love isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Love is a decision you make. So until next time, be well and lead with love.